Welcome back to Fourth and Fantasy. Tonight, we're cutting through the NFL rumor mill. The trade deadline is looming, and we're talking about players whose futures are on out of their team's hands. We're identifying the higher profile veterans and potential starters rumored to be on the actual trade block. How does a real life trade rumor affect their dynasty values? Let's talk strategy, baby.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a Redraft brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to the dynasty keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demand and respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth and fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand.
We are 10 toes down and we stand on facts. Fourth and Fantasy back in your living room, bedroom, wherever you're watching us. Hell, on the toilet, if you will. My name is Honcho, and this is my guy.
Bringing you to fantasy even while you're taking a dump. I'm
Yes,
Siriaco. Call me Rocco.
And we are back at it with another episode of Fourth and Fantasy. Hope everyone is doing well, dandy, and honestly, we're not even done with the week. And there's an NFL game going on right now. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This could be a yawn fest, or they could give us a show. I think I'm gonna go with the former, and with this one. Rocco, how we feeling tonight?
Man, I have a feeling that Arthur Smith is going to terrorize our fantasy leagues, except for DK Metcalf, who just had like a 30-yard catch. Feeling real good, actually. I did my first podcast this Sunday as the host with my good friend Dougie Fresh from the FF Dynasty. That was pretty cool. It was interesting to be in your chair for a change. And I have a newfound respect for all the shit you do to, behind the scenes to get this thing going, man. I was fucking up the intro. I didn't introduce myself. I didn't introduce Dougie Fresh, so I was good to my guest, but yeah, I screwed it up. It took till about the second half when we started getting comments rolling in, so I really got a groove. I mean, in my defense, it was 6:30 in the fucking morning in a central time zone. So, I'll give that myself a little bit of an excuse there, but I total respect for what you do over there. Respect, man, for real.
Appreciate it, my G. And if y'all can't tell, my boy Rocco's wearing some hard-earned hardware right now. His new Puka Nakua jersey earned by winning the. Actually, this is from this past week, won 2 times in a row. But that's from his first week previous from winning or being the number one on league champ rankings. Shout out to you, Rocco, doing your goddamn thing. And also
Going for the 3-peat.
Yes, sir, going for the 3-peat. And just for y'all know, but y'all already know the spiel though. We're your fantasy playbook to more championship wins, and also maybe more to motherfucking free NFL jerseys. You never know. And
Alvin Kamara jersey on the way.
Yes, sir. And also, Rocco, where are we the home in the land of?
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos. By Dynasty Sickos. Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome. Now, we're going into week 7. I personally missed almost all of week 6. I was on a camping trip, no type of cell signal. There's actually a group. I went camping. There was a group out there that actually did have Starlink, which was asked up. So, yeah, so they were actually watching the college football games out there. Thought that was hilarious. Supposed to be
couldn't totally reset, huh?
I'm telling you, it's supposed to be away from civilization, and now you're over here still trying to keep it going. So I'm personally happy to be back on pod, happy to be back in front of you guys, happy to be with my G again, Rocco, giving y'all and bringing the vibes to everybody for week 7. Week 6 was I feel like it was overall a good week for me. There was a couple of games that kind of screwed me over. Honestly, I came back to find out my Cowboys lost to the fucking Panthers. Very much pissed off. Very much didn't know what to do with myself. Uh, George Pickens, I saw a little bit of George Pickens was having a good game when we went down to like the you would call it the camp store, if you will, where they had Wi-Fi. So I briefly checked and saw that George Pickens jumped over somebody, and I was happy. I was like, oh, we're gonna get the dub. Then find out we lost by 3. I wanted to physically hurt my damn self. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, remember that this episode is brought to you by Fast Draft, the fastest best ball platform out there, where they're trying to put cash, money, moolah in your pocket, over 250K to be exact, while playing there or going on and drafting, if you will. And how you do that, you can get up to $50. I'm a little rusty. You gotta. I'm over here messing up the
Blah, blah,
fast
blah,
draft
blah,
promo.
blah.
Right. I'm messing up the fast draft. I'm over here messed up. But by using our 2 promo codes, fourth, they will double your first deposit up to $50. I repeat, using either one of our promo codes, fourth, they will double your first deposit up to $50. Get into fast draft. Do what you can. And they will give you some money. But also jump into League Champ and win yourself a free NFL jersey and maybe beat Rocco so he doesn't get a third free jersey in the week. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, if I could do it, you could do it. But right now, I'm the only one doing it. Besides my good friend Addy, who's the only other 2-time champ through 6 weeks. So yeah, get in there because I mean there were 10 people in last week, so you have a 1 in 10 chance of winning a free fucking jersey. I mean, you have better chances there than you have playing the lottery. You have better chances there than most fantasy football leagues that are 12 person leagues. So get in there, compete with me, compete with Huncho, compete with our good friend Chev, compete with Addy, who is also a 2-time winner, and win you a free jersey of your choice. It doesn't have to be a Puka Nakua jersey. It could be a Cam Scatterboo jersey, who if I win next week, you damn certain I'm going to get me the Scatterboo jersey. I have an Alvin Kamara jersey coming this week because of the home team, but next week, all bets are off.
And just for the record, Rocco did have, I believe what Addy said was a record high percentage of 80%. I saw that. I was like, all right, Rocco be on his shit. He's going up. So I think my highest so far has been 77%. So shout out to you, Rocco, doing your damn thing, holding it down for Force and Fantasy, letting these people know we don't bullshit of what we say.
Hey, my success is your success. We're a team over here.
Yes, sir. But we're looking at these trades, and honestly, it's getting quite louder as we get closer to the trade deadline. A couple of players might be sending out subliminal messages on their social media, if you will, and that points towards Mr. Brees Hall himself talking about free 20. I don't know if that actually means free him or he just trying to tell the Jets to stop playing with him and unleash him, if you will. What do you think with Brees Hall? What do you actually think he gets traded before the trade deadline? And who would you think would be buyers of Brees Hall right now?
Man, Brees Hall had the best quote a couple weeks ago. Every time anybody talks about Brees Hall, I put this meme in the Discord. He said the team we play, they shoot themselves in the foot, and then we come right back and shoot ourselves in the head.
Nope.
But it's but as far as Bree, yeah, it doesn't sound like somebody wants to be there very very much longer. But anyway, as far as Brees Hall, I think everybody wants him to go to the Chiefs because you can see the need. You can see him step right in, and that offense, the arrows pointed straight up. I mean, through 6 weeks, Patrick Mahomes is having a throwback Patrick Mahomes fantasy football season, and in real life, I mean, he's carrying that team. The defense isn't what it was the last couple years, and they get Rasheed Rice back this week. So imagine they get Rasheed Rice back this week, and in the next week or so, they get a Brees Hall. You could be looking at one of the best offenses in the entire NFL.
Whoa,
I
whoa,
just
whoa.
hope.
Oh, well,
What?
I don't need you to mess up my Rashard Smith shares, Rocco.
Mm,
You bring you bringing me
mm,
down, baby. What we doing?
mm.
What we doing?
Rashard Smith can still get his little 5 touches. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. He can get his little 5 touches, and you know, uh, Pacheco and Hunt, they can go wherever the fuck they want to go because they are not doing anything for anybody. Yeah, get Brees Hall there. The beautiful thing about Brees Hall is he doesn't need like 30 carries to be
No,
effective. He can hit a couple big plays and and get 15 touches and be a high end top 6 type RB1. We all remember 2020. It seems like a long time now, but just 2023, he was the league winner. He was the league winner down the stretch because I know he beat me in a couple leagues, just destroying at the end of the season, the
yeah.
second half, into the playoffs. So you get that man to the Chiefs. Another option would be the Bears. The Bears can use another running back.
What are you doing to me, Rocco?
He'd be like the wealthy man's version
What you doing to me,
of
dog?
DeAndre Swift with actual vision that they can scheme up. The Chargers. I know everybody loves Hamp, but we don't know when Hamp's coming back. I hear he might have actually had a fracture, so it could be longer than the 4 weeks. And even if he goes to the Chargers, him and Hamp could form a really dangerous duo when Hamp eventually comes back. And then Brees Hall will be a free agent in 2026, so he could pick his destination. So those are some of the teams he can go to. Houston's an option if they feel like paying up to upgrade their running back room. That's pretty much gonna nuke. It's gonna nuke Woody Marks a little bit. But anywhere he's got a few options that look good on paper. Are
Mhm.
there any teams that I'm like not thinking of?
Honestly, when I'm thinking about Brees Hall, and a follow up question I have for you is, would his dynasty value, and we could even talk about redraft value, would his value change if he did, would change for the worse or positive if he left the Jets? Right now, he's the bell cow for the Jets, but let's say, and he still probably would be the bell cow, let's say, for the Kansas City Chiefs, but with his right now, he is RB21, averaging a little bit of 11.8 fantasy points per game. That puts him in the area of Bucky Irving, of Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, guys like that. Where I don't want to see Brees Hall is traded to like a shitty team just to get rid of him. Now that kind of just messes it up, but also makes me think: is this a buy now situation for Brees Hall before he actually does get traded to say like a Kansas City Chiefs? Because then at that point, I think it raises the brick a little bit, right? It
Rocket
skyrockets.
ship.
And when you get thrown him into an offense with an Andy Reid, with a Patrick Mahomes, with a Rasheed Rice coming back, and sadly, our guy Jalen Rose hasn't got to the start, even been in the offense, really. It seems like
Mhm.
they trusted Tyquan Thornton and fucking Juju Smith on the field more than they trusted Jalen Royals, and maybe they're just waiting to get
They
that
went
knee right. But
Yeah, they went the vet route, and he's been hurt most of camp. So, being a rookie and not being onboarded fully, they're probably just going with the vets right now.
mhm. So with Brees Hall, I do like a couple of places. I'm thinking. I mean, we pretty already have Javante Williams. I would be like, hey, go get a Brees Hall. That would actually be a nice little 1-2 punch. I don't know what Brees Hall would command in the trade. I don't see any teams shopping a second for him.
It's gonna take at least a
At
second.
least a second, maybe a third that can get it done. Because then because you still have to,
Which
because you still then have to pay Brees Hall.
it's gonna take a second. He's a young stud, that's elite in the passing game, so that makes him better than like your Joe Blow, two down grinder. He can be elite in the passing game, so he can be an extension of your passing game. So that naturally gives him more value. Yeah, I think he could command. He should command upwards of $15 million on the open market, and would be money well spent. He just needs to get out of New York because that offense, that whole offensive situation is atrocious. I mean, you saw they fucking couldn't do anything, overseas last week,
Yeah.
and that's probably that's probably more to come. I don't care how many carries he gets with the Jets. It's just not a functional offense. So almost any team in the league would be a better situation than that one at this point.
Do you think he stays because of they only have him and then Isaiah Davis? Braylon Allen is still hurt. Do you think he stays
I
in New York?
mean, why? I mean, there's nothing to build there. I mean, they're 0-6. They're going nowhere fast. Their coach may be one and done. It's obvious Brees doesn't want to be there. Why do you want to keep a guy that obviously does not want to be there? He's doing the opposite. He's doing the exact opposite of an Alvin Kamara who pledged his loyalty to the Saints.
Basically,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you don't get that much. That not to get on. We're going to talk about Alvin Kamara in a minute, but you don't really get that in football too much. A guy that starts his career and ends his career with the same team. And kudos to Alvin Kamara. He wants to finish where he started. And he's going to try to see this team, go from the lows, back to the high one day. Granted, we can build around him, and if Rattler's the guy, we can build around Rattler.
hmm
I'm kind of 50-50 on that, but not to kind of get off my high horse. When a guy doesn't want to be there and the situation's terrible, um, I and somebody offers a second round pick,
hmm
you got to get the man out of there. It's got to be
set him
bad for the
free.
locker room. What's that?
I said set him
And
free.
set the man free. He wants out of there, and he's got a contract coming up. So, what you gonna do? You gonna keep him? Win 2 games this year, and then franchise him next year, and then possibly franchise him. That for a running back, I don't think that's the move.
No, not at all. And then they only get older every year. They only get more wear and tear. It's always we always say the running back is a young man's game, and so the guys that can stay healthy, that can stay, elite, are the ones. Derrick Henry, for example, Christian McCaffrey, regardless of the health, showing his stuff this year. Another player that has been very vocal about being traded even before the trade deadline, Jacoby Myers. He's been wanting to get the hell out of Las Vegas, and now it seems like the team is ready to listen. I personally would be happy to see Jacoby Myers go somewhere else because it just seems like, and we were big advocates for Geno Smith, and maybe it's Chip Kelly's fault, right? I don't want to put too much blame on Geno Smith because we saw what Chip Kelly was even before he went to the Raiders with the Philadelphia Eagles and the shit show that was over there during his time. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to put the full blame on Geno Smith or Jacoby Myers of the way that offense has performed. The offensive line has been bad. Brock Bowers, your most lethal weapon, has been hurt. So it's been hard to get things going. Jack Batch, he's been seems like a healthy scratch most of the time to
hmm
where they're just letting Trey Tucker get most of the snaps, which I personally, and we know going in just the offseason, the draft season as well, how much we love Jack Batch. So we thought he was going to be a lot more implemented in that offense. How do you feel about Jacoby Myers on the trade block going forward?
Um, I hear a lot about him going to the Patriots, which would be a good addition to that team. Right now they got who is that? Demario Douglas
Mario
playing in the
Douglas,
slot.
Stephon.
Um, he's okay, but I feel like he's more of a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 kind of depth piece, and that's kind of where he slotted in with his numbers. So I think if they got a guy like Jacoby Myers, who's more of a slot expert, a more of a big body target for Drake May. I think he could help take that offense to another level,
Mm-hmm.
and keep adding to a guy in Drake May who's playing like basically like a top 5 quarterback right now. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, you don't want to crown him too soon, and he's played some bad teams along the way,
But he did
but he
game
also
today.
beat the
He
he
like,
also beat the Buffalo Bills, so he's played about as well as can be expected for a
a year
second year
two.
player.
Yeah.
But he's definitely not getting traded. So we're kind of getting off topic here. But what the biggest thing that I hope to see from a Jacoby Myers trade, and I think you touched on it, would be Jack Besh, going into that slot receiver position and let that man grow, because you spent the second round pick on him. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to get him out there and see if he can play. And the encouraging sign last week was he got a 75% snap share. He didn't score jack shit last week, but he was on the field. So that gives me some hope that in the near future he can start putting up fantasy points. And a big part of that would be getting Jacoby Myers out of there, get Jacoby Myers somewhere that he would rather be, and get somebody in there that can play the slot and wants to be there. And maybe, just maybe, if they get somebody that wants to be there, maybe the offense can turn the corner a little bit,
He doesn't
with
seem
Jack
happy.
Besh.
He doesn't seem happy right now.
I said last week maybe Jack Besh can, not just because they're white guys, but maybe he can, kind of take over. Maybe not the tight end role, but kind of like that kind of
That power
player,
slot.
that power slot,
Yeah.
those kind of targets that Brock Bowers would get, and let him get the ball and thump some people downfield. Give that team more of an identity with a big power slot like him,
Mm-hmm.
because he was one of my favorite players in the process. And we all know just because they don't produce 6 games in doesn't mean they won't produce in the second half, and a lot of it's tied to playing time. So get that man on the field and let's see what he's got. Your team's going nowhere fast, so I think this is the time where you got to kind of see what you have in a Jack Besh. And if you put him out there and he doesn't produce, he just shows that he's not the guy, fucking move on. But you don't know until he gets on the field and see what he's got.
And fact, since 2023, Jacoby Myers owns a 80.3 PPF receiving grade while dropping 5 passes. I repeat, he's
Oh.
only dropped 5 passes since 2023.
Oh, don't get me wrong. This is not shitting on Jacoby
Yeah,
Myers at
yeah,
all. Jacoby Myers is a good NFL
he's
receiver.
good.
He is a damn good number 2 for basically anybody, most teams in the league. This is definitely not a let's shit on Jacoby Myers.
This is a shit
Take
on the Raiders.
This is a shit on the Raiders, shit on Geno
Chip
Smith,
Kelly.
who I thought would have a good season, but is like throwing interceptions left and right. Chip Kelly, fuck that guy. This is not shitting on Jacoby Myers, but obviously something is not right there. Jacoby Myers is not producing as he has in the last couple of years, where he's either had 1,000 yards or got close to 1,000 yards. But get that guy somewhere else where he can produce. Get the man where he's somewhere happy. And if you improve the happiness level in your locker room, it could only help with the win-loss record and the product on the field and the production on the field.
Hey, I heard the Pittsburgh Steelers are calling around now. I heard they making phone calls around, and now we he go to another terrorist, Arthur fucking Smith. He goes from one terrorist to another terrorist. Chip Kelly and fucking Arthur Smith are doing the Spider-Man meme right now.
Speaking of terror, man, I've been holding on to Jonnu Smith since last year. Been holding on through 6 games. I dropped him in one league, and guess what he did? Scored a touchdown. First drive.
Take
Motherfucker.
Arthur Smith, terrorist. I'm telling you, he does not. He's
He
not.
knew I dropped him. He's like, ha, you dropped him. Touchdown, Jonnu.
He's not good for your fantasy mental. I'm telling you right now. Some other teams that have inquired or who could use the services of Jacoby Myers, the 49ers, as they wait to get their players back. The Denver Broncos, as could be potentially looking around. I would personally love to see them get Mr. Bryan out there. Also to see Sutton looks like he's very much in there. I don't want to kill the year 2 progression of a Troy Franklin. So that would be the bottom of the list.
Too many guys there. Would it help the offense? Probably, but it's also going to nuke some guys we like, and I don't want that right now.
Evan Ingram, it seems like he's starting to catch traction. So yeah, you're right. I don't Pat Bryan. Hopefully they're trying to get him more acclimated, but it wouldn't throw Pat Bryant out there to where he needs to produce. But yeah, I think the top teams that I would love to see, not even the top teams really, I would love, because once again, the Steelers have a whole fantasy terrorists out there. I think the best case scenario for Jacoby Myers is the New England Patriots. Go back home, baby. Go back home with Josh McDaniels. Drake May could very much use, and what is pretty surprising to me is that we haven't heard more about Kyle Williams. I don't know what's going on there, but Jacoby Myers, like you pointed to, plays more in the slot. So very much agree with you with the Patriots on this one. But before we go and speak about other guys on the chop block, trade block, if you will, here's a quick lead champ ad. Here we go. Addy knew what
Trap is going down.
I'm telling you, Addy knew what he was doing with that music, dog. All right, go ahead, tap into the lead champ, and potentially win you a free NFL jersey like our boy Rocco here was wearing.
Yeah, and I like that. And I like that ad. You can see who was the top in that contest that they show it, that they screenshot at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was me.
That was Rocco. a little bit of self brag in there. But go ahead, download Lead Champ on your Apple Store or your Google Play Store and get right.
They give a jersey away weekly. I can promise you that Addy comes through with the jersey.
It's not a fib. It's not them trying to scam you out, and it's free. It's a free app. You pay for nothing. You literally just take the time to rank out your players. That's it. You rank and you just let it go and see if the fantasy world agrees with you. So we love the app. Shout out to Addy. Shout out to Lead Champ. Go download it. Now back to the guys that are on the chopping block. I'm ready to go back to the New Orleans Saints real quick because actually we were discussing this a little bit early this morning. On a quick discussion, Mr. Chris Olave has been heard or known, or the Saints are willing to listen to trade offers for Chris Olave, their former first-round pick, who's had a little bit of health issues, concussions specifically, since he's been in the NFL. Where or how do you feel about Mr. Chris Olave himself? Honestly, if I'm looking at it, one of the teams I've been very vocal about him going to is the Atlanta Falcons, just because I want them to have a true wide receiver to go pair along with Drake London. Yes, they have Kyle Pitts. Yes, they have Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney can't stay goddamn healthy. And two, Kyle Pitts, he seems like he's there and he's not. He's there and he's not. What kind of has me in a tough spot is that Bijan is on a historic year so far, and he's very much a candidate to finish 1,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards. And I felt like that would take a little bit of the thunder away from that if you bring in a Chris Olave who would command targets. How do you feel about your Saints potentially moving Chris Olave?
Um, I'm open to it. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player. Um, and he carries a real NFL trait that will work. I wouldn't say work. I guess that's not the right word. That would be beneficial to a lot of teams is the fact that he can run routes, he can route guys, and he can get open, he can create separation. And that's very important in today's NFL. Um, so I think he would fit on a lot of teams. I think he's got the versatility to kind of fit in with a lot of teams. Um, what worries me is he's got a lot of drops, a lot of back breaking type of drops, and it seems like he hasn't really progressed since he was a rookie. He's kind of, I think he put up back to back 1,000-yard seasons, in his first 2 years. And he was hurt last year, so I give him some grace. And he's commanded a shitload of targets this year, but he hasn't really converted that to a lot of fantasy points. I don't think he's even scored a touchdown this year. I could be wrong. And that's a big part of the Saints' red zone woes. I mean, they're a good team between the 20s, but once they get into the red zone, they just kind of bog down. And I think part of that is, he's not scoring touchdowns down there. He's, he can get open in the larger parts of the field, but once that field condenses, he has a hard time A, getting open, and B, making tough touchdown catches contested. So I think he would be a wonderful number two for a team. I think he's a little miscast as a number one for us. And I would be interested if he got off the team, to see if, that elevates Rashid Shaheed to another level because he's really grown. He's,
He makes more plays than Chris Olave, honestly, downfield.
My friend Ben he's gonna be super angry when I clip this and send it to him. But Rashid Shaheed right now may be a better player than Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams is faster. Like nobody's faster than Jamison Williams, but I think Rashid Shaheed can route people up a little bit better, and I think he commands targets a little bit more. Maybe that changes if these guys swap teams and JMO's on the Saints and Rashid Shaheed's on Detroit, and they kind of pigeonhole him into the deep threat role.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't convince me that Rashid Shaheed is not better at football than Jamison Williams. So I would love to see what a half a season of Rashid Shaheed as number one looks like. And don't get me wrong, like he doesn't run routes on the level of a Chris Olave yet, but if he's thrust in that role, could he? Maybe. He's plenty explosive and he's got a little more chops than your average situational deep threat as a route runner. So, if the Saints could get a second round pick for Chris Olave, I say send him off. I don't think he's happy here, and I think that's part of his regression issues. And I think he's, like I said, I think he's miscast as a number one. And I think if he gets in somewhere with an alpha, like you said, like Atlanta with Drake London, I think he can really flourish in a situation like that where he doesn't have to be relied on to be the touchdown guy, as a pass receiver down in the red zone.
And this is nothing new from Rocco. I think for the longest time, you said Chris Olave wasn't a true wide receiver one, even before this year, and he is averaging only 8.8 yards per catch at this very moment, a career low, where he was typically his rookie year 14.5. Sophomore year, 12.9. His year three, 12.5. So 8.8 is severely low for the type of receiver that Chris Olave was. He was used as a deep threat at Ohio State. And who would have known that Jackson Smith Njigba was the best wide receiver out of those three: Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, and and himself, Jackson Smith Njigba.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Would you put Chris Olave ahead of any of those Ohio State receivers? Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, JSN, like you said,
Hmm.
Abuka. I think
Abu-
Abuka was there as a freshman.
I think it's better than
He
Olave right now.
he was better than Olave first game in. I mean, just his chops as a touchdown scorer. And he went to the nuts landing spot. Like he didn't like nobody went to a better spot than him as a wide receiver.
Hmm.
To the chagrin of some guys, some of our good friends in our chat. I'm gonna I'm gonna keep on throwing that because there was so many sad reactions and sad faces when Abuka went to Tampa Bay. But um, what we're talking about, yeah, he's definitely better. Ibuka's better than fucking Marvin Harrison right now.
I mean, I'm not gonna fight you on that.
Fuck Taco Olave, like Abuka damn near saddling up next to the Garrett Wilson at this point. I know Garrett Wilson is in the worst situation out
Throw
of
him out
any
there.
of
Yeah,
them.
it's another name.
Since his rookie year, and he does some like fucking Mike Jordan, Kobe Bryant stuff out there just to get catches. So I don't really want to shit on him too much, but Abuka is really working his way up there. Before he got hurt, I mean, we were getting irresponsible. We were talking about him as a foundational wide receiver, a top 8, top 7 receiver. So yeah, he's long dusted Olave has no claim to any of those. Olave, would like to be, in the level of a Terry McLaurin at this point.
So with Olave, do you see him getting traded? Yeah or no? Obviously, it got to make sense, right? I don't think y'all doing a yard sale on these players, but
If somebody offers a second, I think he's out of here. Another team could be the Buffalo Bills.
I saw
I
that as
feel
well.
like the Buffalo Bills, like it doesn't really go in line with what I was talking about, where he needs to be a number 2. But they do have some like strong receivers there, and I think he would fit in as a guy that can create consistent separation. I think that's what that team lacks. I think they have like a big guy, a big, jump ball expert,
Yep.
a good guy in the red zone, like a Keon Coleman. They have their run after the catch kind of guy with Khalil Shakir, and they got a bunch of other guys that are kind of whatever. I think Josh Allen needs a guy that can beat like man coverage on a consistent basis, because I think that's where their offense is kind of bogged down in the last few games, and it shows with their recent lack of success. So I could see them making a bit of a, I wouldn't say a panic move, but a move to kind of help Josh Allen, because if you look at it, they haven't gotten those top tier receivers ever since Stephon Diggs, and they're relying too much on Josh Allen's athleticism and his ability to make plays without giving him that true man beater at wide receiver. So I can see a Chris Olave going there. That would make a lot of sense to me. And I think it would be worth a second round pick for them. I don't have their cap number in front of me, so I don't know if they can make it work. But I've seen whispers about that could be a potential spot for him.
You
The
know what they might make it
Giants,
work? There we go. You hit it right. That's exactly what I was about to say. The
but
New York
we're
Giants.
talking about the same kind of issue, even to a bigger extent, because they really don't have a lot of receiving talent outside of maybe a Wandale Robinson, who
Wandale
really is
Robinson,
like a he
and
really
Darius
is like a
Slay.
3. To me, Wandale would be, on a team on a really good offense, he would be like the number 3. So I think he would still kind of be miscast as the number 1, and I don't know if he would have the consistent success there. But that's another option. Not because they're trying to win games, but because they have a rookie quarterback and they want him to develop. And it'd be hard to develop with little Jordan Humphrey, Wandale Robinson, and whoever else the fuck they throwing out there.
I agree with you on that one, Rocco. And since you just lost, or they just lost Malik Neighbors, you're helping out your rookie quarterback. Now you
Mm-hmm.
have a something that you can believe in, or a quarterback you can. And I don't want to get too far ahead because it could go extremely downhill after this. But they have potentially a quarterback they can believe in. Cam
He's looked
Scatterbo,
good.
a running back that has basically he did what Tracy did to Singletary last year. Took the job when the man got hurt, and he's not giving that shit back. So at this point, I think Chris Olave could come in as and be their wide receiver one. I know we've been speaking about he'd probably be better as a wide receiver two, but
But
I feel like that team overall is balanced enough to where you don't need to lean on your passing game. Cam Scatterbo will get you. Jackson Dart will get you with his mobility, which I've been actually a little bit more. Not to say he wasn't mobile at Ole Miss, but Jackson Dart has shown that he's not scared to take off with that
mhm.
much. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I just wanted to add in, and this move might help future years as well because, like we said, I don't know if he's a number one, but Malik Neighbors comes back next year, and look at that. You got Malik Neighbors on one side. You got a real uh, man beater in
That's a cool pair. Oh yeah,
no
that's a
di-
good
no di- no Diddy.
pair.
You got Olave on the other side. You got Wandale in the slot or wherever where. And now you're looking at a real dangerous wide receiver core that can go up against almost any team, and teams will have to respect that wide receiver core. And then you got Scatterboo, just smashing people in the middle when you got teams worried about that wide receiver core. Like what he's doing right now is crazy because everybody knows that's what's coming, and he's still running through a motherfucker's face. Beast Mode Junior over there.
Even Theo Johnson has showed some real nice play on the field this year. So you have that as your top three guys of Malik
Hmm.
Neighbors, Chris Olave, a Wandale Robinson, who's a really nice slot option, Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart, a Theo Johnson. That's the making of a young, youthful offense, if you ask me. Giants, if you're listening, go ahead, trade for Chris Olave. Don't try to be cheap throwing just a throw in a third. I don't think that gets it done. But a second, I feel like they would go ahead and throw that ass over there. You did. And then looking at some other guys that are on the chopping block, and this one kind of I don't. It's a little far fetched because of where they are and they're trying to chase the Super Bowl title again. But hell, he doesn't seem happy. Jalen Hurts is missing him on countless.
Vibes are fucking terrible.
He does like if you're a reader of body language, that is all telling. AJ Brown, it's been talked about him potentially wanting out of Philly. And one thing that was noted, or I took note of, where there was a discussion where there was a player meeting between Saquon, and Jalen Hurts. They got together supposedly, and they talked it out. And then when they asked AJ Brown about it, he was like, "Yeah, I have no clue what y'all talking about. You're gonna have to ask them. You're gonna have to ask them what's good with it." Do
He
you
said, "Fuck
see
those guys."
with the dysfunction going on? They've lost 2 games back to back. Do you see AJ Brown staying in Philly? It's hard to see them getting rid of their wide receiver one, but maybe they're just like maybe we ride it out with Saquon and Smitty. What do you think, Rocco?
I, I I brought it up in the Discord, and people, I got a little pushback. But I told people like the Eagles will not win a Super Bowl with the offense playing as bad as they are. The offensive line is in shambles,
Yep.
leading to a lot of lot of mediocre and bad games from Saquon Barkley. I mean, let's not get it twisted. He's not playing great himself. They were playing. He was playing a good game on Thursday, and they just like stopped going to him for some reason. Um, so yeah, I mean, the offense is just discombobulated. Um, Jalen Hurts is not playing well. You got just the worst vibes, like league worst vibes with AJ Brown and that team.
Mhm.
It makes you wonder, like, is it time for him to move on? There was some of this. There was some of this in years past too.
Yeah,
Last year it was the book reading, and
yeah,
that trust, like, that was shade. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. That was major shade he was throwing at Jalen Hurts. I,
but can you
and I
imagine?
know
Can you
and I
be
know
mad?
some of the advanced stats say that Jalen Hurts, is a really good passer of the football. But when you watch it, it just doesn't seem. I don't know. It just seems disjointed. And last year he had a good offensive coordinator with Kellen Moore. He was drawing up some. By the end of the season, that team was really hitting on all cylinders, and it just doesn't seem the same this year. And that has to have an effect on the team, losing multiple coordinators every single year. Every year they're losing coordinators, or every other year they're losing coordinators, and it just shows that they lost a lot when they lost Kellen Moore last year, and whoever they brought in now, the Eagles fan in our Discord, just they despise them, and it shows with that team. They're not very good. The offensive line is taking a dip,
Mhm.
and it might be time to get AJ Brown out of there. Get AJ Brown out of there. Figure out the offensive line. Get back to running the ball, and you still got Devonta Smith, who can be, he can be a number one for you. He's a good wide receiver. It may be part of it's the vibes. I mean, it's hard to be a good team when the vibes are that bad. So you bank your championship. Get AJ Brown out of there. Get you can get a second round pick for him today. I promise you, somebody will pay
Yeah,
you a
second
second
round.
round pick. Maybe more. I mean, that guy's been a 1,400-yard receiver multiple years. He's one of the best yards per route run guys, in the league. Like, it's him and Puka every year. So get him. I mean, if if I'm the if I'm the Patriots, I might give you a fucking first round pick for him, because that completely completes my wide receiver room. And
That would
it's
be so much fun.
better than
Don't give me
Jacoby
hype,
Myers.
Rocco.
That's for damn sure.
Don't give me
Get
hype,
get
Rocco.
Drake May throwing bombs to AJ Brown, and imagine the numbers that AJ Brown puts up. So I just think something needs to change there, and maybe it's AJ Brown that can kind of change the vibes around, because they still have an elite defense. Like, that team should not be as mid as it is with the defense they have.
Correct. And like I said, don't get me hyped with AJ Brown going to the Patriots. Like, it would be fun with him, Stephon Diggs, to throw out with, I guess, if you really looking at it, maybe Demario Douglas. He had a nice week this past. That might just nuke every share where you have Kyle Williams, even though it probably wasn't doing you much to begin with at this very much
Yeah,
point.
he's gonna be a red shirt. It looks like.
Yeah. So yeah, AJ Brown is still very much. If we're talking about talent wise, some would throw him in that top five. Some would have him in definitely in that top 10. You can't be disrespectful and not have him in that top 10. Talent wise, production wise,
Absolutely.
that's not on him. The stats this year are not on him. Shit, we seen Jalen Hurts miss Smitty. We seen him miss AJ Brown. He's throwing interceptions. Efficiently wise, as a quarterback play, Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback.
Hmm.
As strictly a passer, when you're not just doing the fucking tush push every goddamn play, it gets pretty scary, Rocco, when it comes to Jalen Hurts. And yeah, you hit it right on the head. They lose an offensive coordinator almost every year. Kellen Moore looks like very much he was a important part of that Super Bowl run last year.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon Barkley, offensive line's banked up. Saquon Barkley is not looking like the same guy. Jalen Hurts is not looking like the same guy or like confidence wise. And honestly, even though they lost the last 2 weeks, they should have a worse record, bro. Like there's been multiple games that the other team has just shit the bed on and let the Eagles come back. So
Yeah, they shouldn't have won the Rams game.
I'm telling
Puka
you,
Nakua.
Puka Nakua. Like so, is no. What I hope AJ Brown does get traded just so he's not on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I can troll our boy Mike at Dynasty Dogs a little bit. Shout out to you, Mike.
You know, a lot of Eagles fans.
A lot of Eagles fans out here, man. Another name that I have heard even throughout this season, the off season, and hell, even after the last playoff game, the Ravens fans might have even wanted him off the goddamn team. I'm talking about Mark Andrews himself, with the team being 1-5, which puts them third in the AFC. I believe, yeah, AFC North. Right now, Steelers are 4-1, Bengals are 2-4, Ravens 1-5, Browns 1-5. Do we see Mark Andrews get moved? I don't know when Lamar Jackson is supposed to come back. Maybe it's in a week or two. But right now, it's not looking good for Mark Andrews. Fantasy wise, it's not looking good for him with the backup quarterbacks that had to go on out there. Cooper Rush didn't even start, or they went a different direction for Cooper Rush the last game. With Mark Andrews, and for dynasty purposes, Mark Andrews for tight end premium leagues was going for a late first at some point, even early seconds. You're not getting no second for Mark Andrews right now. You're not. You might as well just keep him on your team if we're being quite honest with you, because there's no upside for another fantasy owner to trade for him. But if we're looking at other teams that could potentially use a Mark Andrews, maybe the Chargers. What? How do you feel about Mark Andrews' dynasty value going forward, and maybe even touch on the redraft value?
I think he can still play uh, in a tight end premium. I still think he has a lot of value. I think he has, weekly top five tight end upside. It really just depends on if he gets the targets. Um, I don't. I mean, we saw that he was a trade candidate. I think, but I think teams just get tired of seeing guys on the team. But um, I don't know what the upside in trading him it would be, unless they just punt this season, which I think unless unless Lamar Jackson's gonna be out past the bye, I don't see them punting the season anytime soon. And he's, even if Zay has leaped him as the number one target on the team, he's still going to be the number two target. But there are some interesting teams that can use him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the one that comes to mind right away would be the Houston Texans. They're
Ah,
rolling out Dalton Schultz right now,
ah.
and Nico Collins is the only veteran receiver, you know, guy in the passing game that CJ Stroud can constantly rely on. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the other guys are rookies. The Christian Kirk is a veteran, but he's coming back off of injury, so a tight end would really help. Like we say, that easy button in the middle of the field. He would immediately become one of the favorite targets for CJ Stroud, and I can see that actually lift up his fantasy value. So that would be an interesting team. And there's a couple other teams, they can bring him into the Chiefs and let him
Carolina
kind of be
Panthers.
the successor for Kelsey. Panthers would be an option. I like Jatavion Sanders, but my man's got to get on the field. So there's definitely teams that can use him if he actually is available. I can see a bunch of teams offering a third for him. I think that's reasonable for a guy that can kind of help transform a team's offense and be a reliable target. even with that drop in the playoffs last year, he can be a reliable target in the middle of the field as he's been for basically his whole career.
Hey, some it might even say or heard that the Commanders could end up trading for Andrews by sending Ben Sinnott, which would piss off so many people. I 100% know.
Hey, if Sanat gets on the field for the Ravens, it's a win for me.
And Isaiah Likely is probably up for all his owners, but I still like me some Mark Andrews, even though and I don't even blame him for this year. The Baltimore Ravens, just offense in general, has looked very just mediocre. It's actually kind of hurts my soul just to see it, if we're being quite honest with you. But Mark Andrews still with tight end premiums. I think honestly, he's still somewhat interesting. I still think when healthy, when the offense is rolling, when the offense is good, and he's being implemented and getting targets, he's still a top
Mhm.
10 tight end in this league. It's just about getting those opportunities, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's almost as good as he's always been, and it really just depends on the targets with him because I feel like when he gets consistent targets, he's going to produce.
Now, let's look at some of these quarterbacks that could potentially be on the move. Hell, Russell Wilson, a Kirk Cousins, if you will. When you're looking at some of these older guys, who do you think most likely gets moved to a new team? Or could you see
Uh,
getting moved to a new team?
I could see a Kirk Cousins moving. Um, But I think the problem with him is the contract that any
Yeah.
team that trades for him is going to have to absorb some of that contract. So I think that's part of the reason why he hasn't moved yet. But it would be interesting if if JJ McCarthy's ankle injury is more of a long term. It would be interesting to see him go back to Minnesota. That would be an interesting place for him to go. He can go to the Cardinals, if they want to try to save their season, kind of, because I think Kyler Murray could have a Liz Frank injury. I'm hearing different things, but it looks
Really?
like he's going to miss his second straight year. And if it is a Liz Frank, that can absolutely kind of torpedo his season and basically might end it. That's the one injury that King Henry has had, like, basically in his entire career, and basically that put him out for half a season, I believe. So if he does have the Liz Frank, then you know they may, because coaches are trying to fight for their job. So that may be a pivot that they go to, or they can keep riding with Brissett. I've snuck Brissett on a lot of teams because I think he's going to get another start. And I've had quarterbacks are getting annihilated this year, so there's quite a few teams that could pull the trigger on a Kirk Cousins. But I think the thing is that whoever trades for Kirk Cousins is going to have to take on some of that contract. I know that the Falcons are probably they're gonna have to figure out that contract situation because each team, I think, is gonna have to pay a portion of it.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And hell, Russell Wilson could very much just end up retiring. You just never know. It might be
Yeah,
better for the league. Let it
man, get
ride.
the fuck out! Get the fuck out of here!
Let's ride.
Nobody wants. Yeah, that dude's war is welcome out with so many damn teams. I don't think. I think the problem with him is what I've read over the years, and what kind of permeates when you see him play, and you just kind of see him talk, is that nobody in the locker rooms like him, and I think that's a big part of quarterback play. So if you can't get guys to rally behind you, you're not going to be long for the league.
Agreed. And that is our episode of guys that could be potentially traded at the trade deadline. Maybe you want them to see them go. Maybe you don't. Maybe they're on your favorite team. Hell, maybe they're on your fantasy team and you're just wanting a little bit more boost, a little bit more steady weddy. Now, remember to tap in with Fourth and Fantasy. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, we're on Blue Sky. Everywhere you can find us. Make sure you join our free Discord, which is in the YouTube description. The link is there. Also, that's where you can find a link to both League Champ on Google Play Store and the Apple Store. And Rocco, do you have anything for the people, my man?
Man, join League Champ and join that contest. There's still time, even though there's a Thursday game. You can submit that thing all the way up to Sunday's first game. Obviously, the players wherever they play tonight will be locked, but you can still win this thing. I don't want to win it every single week because people are gonna think, that I got some kind of magical powers or I'm fucking cheating or something, but I'm not. I set my lineup, I submit, and then I just watch my percentages just keep going up and up. So it's I'm not a genius. I don't, I look at some numbers, but I'm not a spreadsheet genius. I'm not a genius film watcher. I just make calls. I like players and I rank them accordingly, based on their talent and matchups. And you can do that too. Anybody can do it. Anybody can win a free jersey, and I'm proof right here. I know football, I know fantasy football, but they got a lot of smart people out there that can also win jerseys. Shit, I would like to see you win a jersey. If you win this week, who are you gonna pick?
Hell, shit. I don't know. Probably go with me a Bijan Robinson jersey, a Drake
There
London
you
jersey.
go.
I gotta get, I gotta go one in that direction for sure, for sure. Gotta get that one out the way.
All right. Well, when I win, I'm gonna get a Scatterboo jersey. Spoiler alert. No,
Spoiler alert. So come whoop ass. Come whoop our ass. Come whoop Chev's ass. Come whoop Addie's ass. We're all in there. We're all submitting our rankings. And besides, if you don't even win, it's fun. It's a fun experience. The app is fun to navigate through. It's great to see other people's rankings. And they also have a new feature where you can now share your rankings to your social media, which we have seen all today from our good friends Ben and some other guys in the community. So go download Lead Champ, share your ratings or your rankings, and maybe potentially get yourself a free NFL jersey. Till next time, my name is Hancho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And we your fantasy playbook to more championship wins and an NFL jersey, maybe. And Rocco, where are we the land of?
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos by Dynasty Sickos, but all of y'all are welcome.
And remember to catch us this Sunday at, are we going at 8 o'clock, my boy?
7 my time, but yeah,
we're not
8
doing that.
Eastern.
We're not doing 6:30 your time again, huh? He said, "Fuck that shit."
I need that extra 30 minutes, or I might die.
So,
I might physically die on the pod. What kind of viewers is that going to get if I die on the pod?
right, shit. People love negativity, so it might boom up. But catch us Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern time for the morning rush show as we do start and sit questions. You can get jiggy with it, baby, before the NFL kicks off. And before we go, this is the League Champ ad. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, night. And remember, we're going to whoop that ass this Sunday. Till next time, this is Fourth and Fantasy.